So now that we have the foundation in place for our save test class, let's go ahead and start fleshing out what we'll need in order to save and load data. Let's go to the scripts folder and double-click on the save test class to open it up in MonoDevelop. Below our items list, let's create two new public methods. Both of these will return void, and we'll call the first save, and in it, we'll simply debug log the word save, and below save, let's create another method called load. Next, we'll want to go into the save test editor and wire up the editor so that it can call save and load on the object itself. In our save test editor, let's go ahead and add the following below draw default inspector. We're going to need a reference to the save test script itself. So let's create a new variable called save test script, and let's set its value to the current selection active game object. And on this, we're going to call getComponent and get a reference to the save test class. Next, we're going to create a vertical layout to store the two buttons that we plan on creating. We'll talk to the editor GUI layout class and begin a vertical layout. Let's also end it so we don't forget to do that. Now inside, we're going to create two new buttons that will call save and load on the save test script reference. We'll start with a condition, and on the GUI layout class, we'll call the button method and pass in the string save. Inside of this, we'll call the save test script save method. Next, let's do the same thing for load. Here we'll pass in the string load for the label, and we'll call the save test script load method. Now, one thing to note is that we can be confident in knowing that the current selection's active game object is always going to have a reference to a component save test. The way that we know that is that this inspector wouldn't show up unless it's actually on a game object that has a save test component. So in this case, we're not going to do any test to see if save test script is null. We can go right ahead and start calling methods on it, safe in the assumption that this editor only works when we're actually editing a component that has a save test script on it. Let's save this, go back into Unity, and make sure that everything works as we expect it to. We'll go to the new sprite. Let's open up the console, and if we click save and load, we should see both of those strings traced out to the console. Go ahead and clear the console now that we know that it works.